Hey, it's Bruce from Nature Calls, and today I'm out playing with a tent. God, I've been wanting to do this one for a long time, and it's a whole series of the Anjans, and this just happens to be the Anjan 3gt. They make it in an Anjan normal, where this would be where the vestibule would come down right here. They make that in a 2-person and a 3-person, or they do the GT, which is all this section out here on the front, and they make that the Anjan 2gt, and then this is the Anjan 3gt. The GT models are roughly, say, about 11 ounces more than the regular model, 11-12 ounces more. So this is like, I think this is like 5 pounds, 10 ounces for this. A little under 5 for just the Anjan 3. And then it's like lose a pound for the 2 for both of them. I'll put all the specs down below. But just look at this tent. If I was a hunter, put all my hunting equipment up here. If I was a cyclist, I could put my bike up in here. You've got all this area. You know, none of the tent manufacturers say you can cook, but I mean, look at this. You can cook in here. You can do, organize all your gear in here. You can add more people. You can do so much with these GT models. Yes, they are quite a bit longer, so you're going to have the space for that. But it's just a fantastic tent. And this is their yellow label, so it's their 3-season tent. You'll see all these catenary cuts and all that. So it's designed for non-snowy conditions. If it's snow, you want the sides of the tent to come all the way down to the ground. That way you'll stop the snow drifts from coming in. That's the big difference between a 3-season and a 4-season tent. 4-season does not mean all around tent. It means that you can take it into the snow and it will hold back the snow drifts. It'll hold back that driving winter rain and monsoons and the stronger winds. You'll get thicker fabric, get thicker lines, get bigger stakes. But this is for a 3-season. It's with the Kerlon 1000. It's this fabric is unmatched. The poles are the DAC Featherlight NSL. The poles can't be matched. I mean, everything is top notch. So if you're looking for the strongest, the best design tunnel tent with like a GT or not, the Hilleberg line is the way to go. Let's do the setup on it. Right there are the poles. And the stakes. Now this is in their yellow label, so you get, what they've given you for stakes. They're giving you the J stakes with this one, the little Hilleberg J stake, which I really like. For an ultralight stake, these are, if you've ever had to pound on ultralight stakes, I have the shepherd hook ones, but these ones, they're probably just as light, but I just find them easier to pound in. So those are nice. And then the poles are, you get 3 poles with the Anjan 3gt and the 2gt. And just the regular Anjan, you get 2 poles. And these are the DAC Featherlight NSL 9mm. So they're just the top of the line DAC poles. There's a lot you can learn about these poles on their site. Even the way that they put the finish on them is environmentally friendly. So I guess when you anodize aluminum, you get this stuff on it, and then to get rid of that, you have to use chemicals. But they actually basically sand all their poles before they put on this nice yellow coating. So let's get those set up. Now with tunnel tents, you have to use pegs. It's just one of the things about tunnel tents. They aren't freestanding, but you definitely lose a lot of weight with less poles. And the tunnel design is a very, very efficient design in strong winds. But what you want to do with the Anjan, and looking at like the Namaj, which is Namaj, so they are slant back tents, and that's the back end of the tent over there. We'll get more into this later. But the slant back, you also have a slant back where your feet are hitting. So what's recommended with slant back tunnel tents is to actually have the back of the tent on the leeward side and have the windward side the front of the tent. And that works out just perfectly with the with these GT models. The front ones out. I'm not going to stake them all the way because this is just a practice, but if you were to stake them down in a real situation, you want to bring that stake 45-degree angle all the way down into the ground, almost flush. So you want as much stake in the ground as you can at a 45-degree angle. In the pole bag, you get a spare section of pole, and you get a little sleeve, just a quick repair sleeve, just break it, and that's included. So that's included in the weights, and I'll put all the weights down below. You can see there's lots of variations on this, but we'll kind of concentrate on the Anjan shape and style. But just remember that the weight includes all the guylines, the pole, the bags, the line runners. Now this is one thing I love about the Hilleberg tents, is that they try and make it convenient, so you're just working, you know, in a flow. So like say that's the weather end over there, that's the very front or the vestibule side of the tent. So we can work our way down. Say it was really crappy weather, we can work our way down and get this thing set up if it was in a storm. In the tunnel tents, you have these poles all in a row, and if the Anjan GT, you have 3 poles, 2 of the poles will be the same length, then you'll have one longer pole for the middle. But it's the beauty of these tents is that I won't have to go to the other side of the tent. I can work my way back. This is the weather end. The wind's coming from this direction, and we just can work our way through, put it into this nice pole sleeve, pull it across until it's in the other cup. You just bring it on down and stick it into a little cup at the bottom, and tighten it up so it's flush with the tent, and just move our way down. So here is the middle pole. It has the red tape on the poles and a red ribbon, so you know the indication. You put it right in this pole sleeve. It's just you know, it's like the bathtub floor material, so it's thicker than the Kerlon 1000. And stick it right into that cup, and these are big enough for a double pole. And we tighten that down so it's up flush with the tent. Good to go. Move on to the next one. So here we can see where the pole comes across and goes into this kind of a heavy vinyl cup, and it's even got like an abrasive, even thicker one right at the bottom where your pole's hitting the ground. And these, of course, are the stakeout loops. Very cool. That's new. To put up the tent, you just grab the 2 end brackets, lift up, bring it down, and stake it in. And we just tighten it up with a nice taut tent. We got 2 on this end and we have 2 on the other end. Let's do a little walk around before we go inside and everything. But here you can really see in this new version all of the catenary cuts that they put all around the tent. You see how it's kind of up off the ground, like good 4 inches. Even the end points here are up off the ground. So we're just talking an incredible amount of flow of air all around. So one of the big concerns about any tent is condensation buildup, and that is how you get rid of it. Plus you get a little bit tighter pitch, and you also lose all that weight when you cut out all that fabric. On the GT model, everything from here forward is all vestibule. Everything from here backwards is the actual tent. And on a regular model, you'd have the vestibule coming off at a slant right here. So in the GT model, you're getting all this this extra room. And right here, you can see this kind of a rubberized vinyl, and that's covering the zipper And they got really big zippers you can handle with your gloves. It's got a little pocket up here to hold the top zipper. Definitely the one thing about zippers and tents is you never want them to get dirt in them, so let's roll those up and out of the way. There we go, very nice. Here you can see it's just a huge vestibule already. I mean, you could have someone sleep in this vestibule if you had to. It's a 3-person tent, so yes, you could fit 3 people in here, but you could also fit 2 people in here. So I'd say it's a 5-person tent almost. You know, if you really had to, it's great. So here's that vestibule again. It's super nice, and you can see how high this is. I mean, the top of this tent's like 8 inches above my head, just in this first part of the vestibule. Now you have this front door here is all this bug netting, and that's one of the big differences you can see with between the 3-person and the 4-person tent, is that 3-person tent in Hilleberg, you're going to have this whole door all just bug net and no fabric backing, because when you're talking 4-person tent or 4-season tent, when you're talking 4-season tent, you're talking about the tent's ability to keep snowdrifts from coming up and affecting you inside the tent. So with all those catenary cuts on the outside of the tent, that's not going to stop the snowdrifts, or the driving rain during the winter is going to come up inside here. This is more for the 3-season. A 4-season tent, you'd have the outside of the tent going all the way to the ground to stop those snowdrifts from coming in. Then you'd have fabric on the back of this bug net, so it would be a secondary boundary for the snow to get into where you're being protected and sleeping here in the inner tent. You can see the real beauty of the Hilleberg tent, and it's how this inner is suspended from the outer, and you get, when it's all tightened up with this door, it'll be a good 4 inches. There we go, that's what it'd be like. So it's a good 4 inches off of the outer. So this inner part is a breathable. It's got a water repellent on it, but it should breathe. And then it will come up and come out here and hit this part, the outer, which is all waterproof, and then drain back into the ground on the outside. Then you have a big vent in the back to get more air in here. So you got lots of great airflow. Switched over to the wide angle cam. We got Trigger in with me here in the vestibule. So it's just massive, and take a look around in here. Sorry it's dark as it is. One of the questions is that I got specifically for this tent was the angle. So what's the angle and where do your feet go when you're in a sleeping bag? So here I am. Definitely got plenty of room. For me, I'm 6 feet tall, no problem. But one of the big things is your feet. So I'm on an insulated mat, a big Agnes mat, and yeah, my toes are hitting the edge. It's hitting the bathtub part of the tent down here. I suppose if you had a thicker mat, but that's where it's hitting, and that's the whole deal with these slant back tents. But you can see here, I mean, if you do everything right, the only condensation that would ever hit your tent, your feet, would be internal breathing condensation. Not gonna be rain or anything like that. So you gotta really see this big screen here to make sure that your tent's set up right. That's for any tent. And make sure that you got all your ventilation going. But yeah, real nice tent inside. It's 63 inches wide. I'm on a 25-inch mat, so you couldn't fit 3 of these 25-inch mats in here. You could definitely fit 2 easily and a dog. You could put 3 20-inch mats, no problem. Got your clothes drying rack, and you got little pockets. But Yeah, so this is I guess that's one of the big questions is when you get a slant back like this, is it going to touch? And yeah, your feet will touch, especially if you have like a big winter bag. But you got to work your tent magic. To get your airflow, or if it's summer even more, you can do is take this back part and unhook the inner from the outer. I'll go ahead and stake that out. Same thing on the other side. Stake that out. And I probably have to go and tighten up the front again, but what we can do here now is roll this up out of the way. Then you've got even more ventilation if this is in the summer. So you get that out of the way. I can do a better job rolling it up here. This kind of gets into the whole so you roll that up and then you get this great back end of the tent out, even more ventilation and not quite as much. So if it's a hot day, and really if you got the pole kit, you can actually just use the inner if it's going to be a super nice night. But here is probably the one issue, or one thing that people have to know about these slant back tunnel tents. To get the footprint smaller and to lose the weight, you've got to do something, right? You just can't magically have some big tent and make it weigh at 1 pound. So when you do the slant back, you're losing all this fabric, like say on a chiton. So you're losing all that fabric, getting a smaller footprint, you're getting a smaller package in your tent, but you have this slant back. And this is where your feet are down here. And so some people get concerned about, condensation being on their sleeping bag at the end. Well, condensation starts at how you set up your tent. If you're really maximizing the ventilation in your tent, then this comes down, it's still way above, but the other way, and that's why I said this is the leeward side of the tent. So if the wind, say the wind's coming from this end, and we've got this pegged down, the wind's going to be pressing on that. And if it's really strong, it's going to press right down onto the inner. So, you just need to understand all these little physics that are involved. And the better you set up your tent, the better you stake it out, and the better you do all those things, the less chance you're going to have with those issues. So you get this set back up, but that's the whole slant back. And that's just, you got to decide. Am I going to go for weight? And if I'm going for weight, I'm going for a yellow label tent. This is where I'm getting, especially with a three-man tent with a big vestibule, a GT vestibule. It's a fantastic tent for like bicyclers or whatever. It's fantastic, but you need to understand all the little cool nuances. It's not that hard. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So seven feet. I'll put all the specs down. 7 strides. But there we go. It's the Anjan 3gt. And if I was looking at a tunnel tent, this would definitely be in the game. The width of 63 inches, yes, you could put 3 20-inch mats in there and you get 3 people, but 2 25-inch mats and plenty of room, plus the vestibule. A great place for the dog or gear. I mean, it's a real nice, it's a great option. So, all right, thanks a lot, and I'll see you out on the trail. Bye now.